our next speaker, Ryan Walter. As a Stanley Cup champion and performance expert, he's a performance expert as you look at his physique. Ryan strives to inspire the hungry spirit that's inside all of us. So before he takes the stage and inspires you, let's hear a bit more about Ryan.
You don't make the NHL by accident. You work hard, you sacrifice. But to stay there for 15 grueling seasons and win a Stanley Cup, that takes elite performance, leadership, and a dedication to the team. Ryan Walter reached the summit of athletic achievement, but he wasn't done with success. Ryan earned a Master of Arts in Leadership and Business, applying lessons from the ice to the marketplace and the boardroom. Today, he coaches successful business leaders and entrepreneurs, just like you. Ready to fire up your winning mindset? Let's make it happen. Please welcome performance expert and 1986 Stanley Cup champion, Ryan Walter.
Hi everybody. Great to be with you. How good was that lunch? Oh. Okay, so a little informal, study. Hands up if you had chicken. Come on. Hands up if you had beef. Hands up if you had both. All right, that didn't work. Come on. I had both too. It was so good. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, you know that because I got you after lunch, we got to move. Okay, so I want to figure out my crowd here, and this is so cool to be, right in the middle. Like, I like this because, I'm going to try to figure out what NHL team you like. So, if you love the Vancouver Canucks, stand up and keep standing. Okay, hold it. There's like 6. Good job. Give them a hand. Yes, 6. Good job. How did you Canucks fans out here? How did that happen? Oh, you moved. Okay, good job. Okay, now we're getting a little closer here. This is going to be fun. Calgary Flame fans, stand up. That's more than 6. Give them a big hand. Good job. Good job. All right. Okay, Edmonton Oilers fans, stand up. Whoa, a little more. Now, how are we doing with our team? Are we okay? We're hanging in there. Give them a big hand. Good job, team. Okay, now just get ready here. Take a deep breath. Winnipeg Jet fans, stand up. I'm looking. Okay, that's cool. Give them a big hand. Good job. Now, why are you chuckling? Toronto Maple Leaf fans, stand up. Come on. Woo! Woo! There's something we know about you. You're very resilient people. All right, give them a big hand. Good job. Montreal Canadian fans, stand up. Now, keep standing. How are you doing? Whoa. What a good start with a tough year. Awesome. Give a big hand. All right. Now, Ottawa Senator fans. Anybody? Wow. Come on, 2, 3. So cool. Give them a really big hand. Okay. If you have another favorite team in the NHL, stand up. Nobody else? Wait, Chicago? Yep, who else? Red Wings. Islanders. Flyers. Yeah, I got beat up many nights by them. Boston. I got beat up in Boston, too. All right, you guys have to sit down. I'm going to give you a big hand. The one last big hand. Good job. Well, today we're going to have some fun. We're going to just try to take inside some NHL dressing rooms. Okay? Everybody's got their clothes on. We're good. Okay? Inside with some sort of secrets from the NHL. And would you agree with me, friends? There are no secrets. You know the coolest thing about sport is we can play over here for an hour or 40 minutes, and they're exactly the same principles in life. Isn't that true? Independent of what we do. And that's why we love this stuff here with SEC. We get a chance to go nationwide and meet great people like you all over the country and share some principles that make sense at every level. Now, some of you are so young, you never saw me play. You'd have to Google me. So here you go. Let's see if this works. Watching here. I'm so old that when I played at the beginning of my career, there was no advertising on the boards. You remember that? Look! Watch this, look! There's no advertising on the boards. Alright, that was every goal I ever scored, so I hope you didn't blink. Okay, we're good? We're good. Hey, I want to leave just a little bit of a metaphor for you and with you for our next little time together. And, you know, for you Montreal Canadiens fans or any other fans, I'd love to meet you back at the table because I'd love to share that Stanley Cup ring with you. Right? Think about this. I shouldn't have played in the NHL and I shouldn't have won a Stanley Cup. I'm just a kid from the top of Caribou Hill in Burnaby, British Columbia. Right? For whatever reason, I had a dream, right? I had a passion. I was one of these kids, probably you've got one like me, where, you know, you've got those 5 a.m. practices where moms and dads got to get up early. I was one of these kids that would get up at 3:30 and go, Dad, if we can get to the rink early, Dad, could you wake up? Dad, if we can get to the rink early, I can work on my wrist shot before the Zamboni cleans the ice. See, if you're going to be the best of the best, and I love this room because this room's full of leaders, right? You got to do more, but you got to do it because you love it. Isn't that true? And people say to me, how do you build an NHL player? I said, I don't know. Talk to my mom and dad. Right? But I do know this. You have to take your have-tos and make them into want-tos. Isn't that true? With whatever we do in life. So, here's our metaphor. 23rd of May, 1986, we win a Stanley Cup. I am so thankful. And I fired the ring out here, but I don't think my wife likes that with 1,500 people. I totally trust you. I'm not sure she does. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm just kidding. And 23rd of May, 1986, we win a cup. But here's one of the keys that I want to just sort of leave with you. 15th of February, 1986. Just go back to that. 15th of February, 1986, we're a dysfunctional team. Now, there's no press in the room, right? Can you imagine that? Think about this. You know, these two guys didn't like those two guys. This guy, his wife wouldn't talk to that guy's wife. Like, we were a mess. We were underperforming. You know, there's only 2 types of teams, and we've all been on both of them. The team you can't wait to get to, team you can't wait to leave. Right? And so we were in a real tough time. Think about this concept. 23rd of May, 1986, we win a Stanley Cup. 15th of February, 1986, we're dysfunctional. In 100 days, what happened? We're going to talk to you about that in the next 15 minutes. All right. We'll figure it out. So, as we think about that, let's go backwards to go forward. There's a pretty young Ryan Walter. 19, 20 years old, playing in the National Hockey League. So thankful, right? Get traded to the Montreal Canadiens. You know, there's a boy. Where'd the gray hair come from, Ryan? Look at that. Life goes by so quick. And I was traded, by the way, I don't know if you remember this, Rick Green and I were traded to the Montreal Canadiens for 4 Canadians. And when we landed in Dorval Airport, back when it was Dorval, there was a headline in the Montreal Gazette, worst trade in NHL history! should have had a little byline. Welcome, Ryan and Rick. Have you ever lived anybody's headline for your life? Do you know, for the first 2 months, in hockey we call it squeezing the stick. Right? Like I was nervous. I was thinking more about the fans and what they thought of me than playing my game. So I learned a lot about pressure in Montreal. Loved it. And I got a chance to play for the Vancouver Canucks. I went home my last 2 seasons with the Canucks. Got a chance to play in front of my folks, and that was awesome. So to go backwards, it's sort of fun to go forward, right? Played some international hockey. And when I played, do you remember this? Do you guys remember the late 70s? Who was the Flyer fan in the back? Where are you? Do you remember what the Flyers were called in the 70s? And they were bullies. Look at this. This was bad, right? See the guy in the bottom? That's me. By the way, if you ever play in the NHL, and you ever get in a brawl like that, although they don't have them anymore, look for the little guy. Right? I always had the big guy. I had some amazing roommates when I played in the NHL. Mike Carter, Hall of Fame player, right? Then I get to the Montreal Canadiens. Anybody recognize this guy? My roommate's Guy Lafleur. What the heck? How good is that? Right? He's over in the corner by the, where the window is, having a cigarette. And he goes, "Sorry, Ryan, sorry." I said, "You can do anything you want. You're Guy Lafleur." Right? Wow. And I get to Vancouver, and there's Guy and I now. And I get a chance to be with Trevor Linden. Trevor is an amazing young man. So let me share a couple of principles. We're going to focus in on that piece of paper you got, and then we'll be finished up my little time with you. Okay? Would you agree with that statement, folks? What I'm learning, what the world of sport taught me, is such a good lesson for the world of life. And that is what we focus on. Again. Who's seen the movie Miracle? 1980 U.S. win over the Soviet Union? 3 people. 4. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, but did you know I'm the referee in the movie? Come on, I get residuals, okay? So everybody's gonna... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, have a look at the referee, and I got a little story for you. Long hair, looks like Carrie Fraser, right? Look at the hair in that ref. Kurt Russell played Herb Brooks. Kurt Russell was amazing. How many ladies like Kurt Russell? Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Me too. So, now, did you know in movies, you know this, when you get lines in movies, your money goes way up. So good. I had 4 lines in this movie. Now, here's the big lines. Don't miss this. You ready for it? Don't miss it. These guys. Come on, hurry, get you guys the face off. Everybody in. That's a hard line. Like, you got to work on that line. Only 23 takes to get that one right. And here's what I learned from the movies. Gavin O'Connor, the young director, I said one night late, I said, "Gavin, I know hockey, but I don't know movies. Tell me about movies. How do you make a movie?" He started to do this. I'm going, "Come on, Gavin. Like, it's got to be more than that. I've watched you do that for 3 months." He said, "You don't like that? Take that." He said, "Ryan, here's the key to movie making. We never, ever, ever, ever move a camera, because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to move a camera, till we know exactly the shot that we're going to take." Do you know what's cool about this room, folks? The leaders are in this room. You see, what I love about leadership is once you get clarity, isn't that true? With your business, with your family, with your community, once you get clarity around your business model, how to do this better, right? How to build a team, it happens. So here's to set up the rest of our day, right? Very simple. You got to remember, I'm an old hockey player, right? Very simple stuff. What do you want more of? when you head back to wherever you're heading back to, that's a good thought. What do you want more? Do you know, if you and I, if we could get in the room, let's get back in this room 10 years from now together. And let's talk about the movie that you've made over those 10 years. That's a good thought. What do you want more of? What do you want more of for your family? What do you want more of for your business, right? What do you want more of for your health? What do you want more of for your relationships? Here's our one. What do you got to get out of your life today? That's a good one. You see, most people that I know, I shouldn't say this because I'm in the change business, right? I'm in the performance business. And here's the statement I'm going to make, and I'm going to regret it. Most of you know everything you need to know. Isn't that true? There's this book out called The Knowing Doing Gap. What shouldn't we be doing this week? That's a great question. What shouldn't we be doing this week to create the exact movie that we want to look back at and be proud of in 10 years? So I'm with you. Jen and I are going to, my wife Jenny and I train together. We do lots of stuff. By the way, thanks for the weather. No. We were here last week training with spinning, and it was minus 29, right? Thank you for the weather today. That is awesome. Can't believe an old guy from the rain in British Columbia is saying that. So let's move. Would you agree with this thought? This is sort of a feel that I got from the NHL, that everything's about performance, okay? Life is a performance game. Let me share this concept with you, and let's see if you agree. So all of us create results. At the end of the day, results is what we do. But they're not always business results. Would you agree? Sometimes they're health results. Sometimes they're family results. So it's not always just hard business. But here's what we know from the world of sport. Championship habits create championships. Agreed, leaders? Isn't that true? So here's what we also know from the world of sport is that practice, continuous action, deliver the habit to give us the results. So far, so good? Now, here's the big aha moment for me as a coach in the NHL. All action comes out of what? We believe. That's a big pause. Let me say it again. All action comes out of belief system. You know, here, let me try to prove it to you. You know these amazing young North American kids that get radicalized online by ISIS and blow up people? What changed first? Belief system. Right? So, think of this concept. Performance actually is an inner game. Performance starts on the inside. So let's spend just a little bit of time. As a matter of fact, in the world of sport, we call it that. The inner game, right? The inner game creates the outer performance. And here's what we say, whether you want to or not, whether you agree with this or not, whether you change or not, you're programming yourself. You see, we actually know, you know my future and I know your future, by the mindset and the belief system that we're choosing today. Why do teams not win Stanley Cups? They have no context to believe that they could. Right? It's not talent. It's belief. Matter of fact, we're struggling a little bit in Canada. Would you agree? Our teams are pretty mediocre all across the board. When was the last time we won a Stanley Cup? Was it 94? Been a long time, right? And that's a hard hump to get over because you have to first believe that you can. Okay? Thirdly, here's something I learned from the world of sport. What we believe then is absolutely critical. So I got to tell you, this is a good thought, right? 8 out of 10 people's self-image is the key driver of performance. And you know, folks, think about when we hire, right? We hire self-image. You can teach. Every business person I've talked to of late says, yeah, you know, if you got to be an engineer, then I need an engineer degree. But out of all those engineers, I'm going to pick the person with the highest or the best self-image. Isn't that interesting? That's not cockiness. That's not overconfidence. That's just right self-efficacy of what John talked about. But let's move. There's this actually a story in the Vancouver Sun, so it must be true. And it was about this guy. His name was Mr. Lane. So Mr. and Mrs. Lane lived in the Bronx in New York. and this is what caught my attention, their oldest son, they named Winner Lane. So cool. You imagine high school? Hey, Winner, get over here. Now, they had 2 more girls, and ladies, I tell you the names of the girls. They didn't give them in the article. And then they had a 4th child, a 2nd son. They weren't sure what to name the kids, so the oldest daughter goes to Dad and says, well, Dad, you got a winner. They named their 4th child their 2nd son. Loser. Whoa! Can you imagine high school? Hey, loser, get over here. Now, the coolest thing about the article is they tracked both boys for the next 25 years. Winner Lane went on to create 13 crimes and spent 3 years in Elmira prison. Loser Lane went on to be a great athlete, right? Graduated university, got a scholarship at university, graduated, and is a cop in the North Bronx. And what the article should have said, but it didn't, is that it never matters what people call us. Right, leaders? Do you know what I've been called on NHL ice? Do you know what my mother's been called on NHL ice, right? Like if I believed anything people have called me in my lifetime, I'd be over in the corner in a fetal ball. No good to you. But here's what we really know, right, folks? It really matters what we call ourselves. Not true. It's not cockiness. It's just confidence. It's believing that stuff's going to happen. Agreed? The other thing that we know, and this is a big one too, right? Is that it's not only what we call ourselves, but it's what our people call themselves. Right? That's a real key component to taking that next step. Okay, and we're almost on the books actually. I put that up there to make an advertisement. But there's the ring, and I'd love to get my picture with you with the ring, or whatever you need. I mean, we love these, I mentioned we love these sessions with SEC, and our goal is to add value to you, right? They're great clients. So that's our goal. So we're going to move. If that's true, then what we say, here's the key. So here's the key to leadership in 2016. Listen. Listen in to what your people are saying. Because what they say equals what they believe. Isn't that interesting? What we believe comes out what we talk about. So think about this concept. Who's that guy? How are the Pittsburgh Penguins this year? Not so good, right? So a reporter asked Gino, what's wrong with your team? Can I read this for you? Everything! We don't play right. We don't work hard. I know it's tough right now, but we're mad at each other. How's the culture of their team? Right? What we say reveals what we're thinking, maybe 10 times. So think about that concept, right? So as we keep moving, our goal is not to say to you, get a better attitude. See, here's what I'm tired of in life. Telling people, get a better attitude, but never showing them how. So what Jenny and I have come up with, and we built this model, it's very simple. 5 mindsets. We call it the thinking tendencies model. You grab that piece of paper and turn it to, you got a big red line in the middle, right? Well, we're going to try and make a little ice-reading with you. That doesn't surprise you, does it? And if you have a pen, I'd love you to pull it out, scratch up this piece of paper. We're going to have some fun here. So we want to give you something very practical to take home. That you can actually identify, start to identify the 5 mindsets of you, your family, your business, right, your community. Either we call it drift into or shift into. Okay? So we'll have some fun with this. Anybody had a positive thought today? Yes! 3 people. I'm just kidding. Lots of them. How about a negative thought? Don't tell me. Don't. Past thought, future thought. You know what, team? This is a very simple model, but it goes deep. Okay? So in the bottom left, put in P minus, and actually describe that as what we call past negative thinking. Could you put that in right now if you have a pen? Past negative thinking. So, someone help me out here. We'll just stay together as a big group. What is a past negative thought? Some descriptor words of past negative. A shoulda, failed, coulda, totally. Put in the word regrets. So past negative thinking. Now, you know the cool thing about this model, team? Let's be very honest about this model. This is not a positive thinking model. This is a reality model. Because past negative is neutral, right? Don't we go to a past negative, whether it's on our farm or in our business, and we say, whoa, we're not going to do that again. You go to past negative to build tomorrow's business plan, don't you? So past negative is not all wrong. But here's two key words. Can you put just on the side column to think about? Number one, the best years of my life, they go to past negative, or they go what we call below the line, intentionally. Write that word in there. Intentionally. Second word, below intentionally, write in the word, they don't ruminate there. Agreed? How come some of you are snickering? We're in the dairy industry, she says. Okay, I'm going to learn about that. You don't ruminate there, right? And that's a cow. That's the dairy industry. Chewing cud. That's what rumination is in Greek, right? It's a cow chewing its cud. It just stays there over and over and over. Oh, I wish I didn't do that. Do you know how many regrets I've done here? Do you know what I said to an NHL GM 2 weeks before he traded me? Oh, I wish I could have taken that back. Right? How many of us get stuck in past negative? Let's move. Okay, bottom right. Put in F minus, and as a descriptor, put in future negative thinking. Future negative thinking. What are some of the descriptor words of future negative thinking? What comes to mind? Can't, brilliant. What else? Won't is awesome. Put in the word fear next to that. If regrets is past negative in general, fear is future negative. Think of this concept. We're looking into the future at what we don't want. And we're focused on it. Here's a little piece that I'm learning. There's this thing in the back of our brain. Jenny and I are writing our next book, probably going to be called The Performance Shift. Think, talk, win. Right? Because if we can get our thinking right, would you agree we got a chance? And here's our point. We're reading a lot about the brains. There's this little thing in the back of the brain called the reticular activating system, right? And the reticular activating system is so cool in your brain, it gives you more of what you focus on. Why is it that when you're really focused on buying a farm, there's farms for sale everywhere? Why is it that when you want to sell the truck and you get one of those new vans, there's vans for sale everywhere? Jenny and I have 5 kids and 3 grandkids. I love trucks. I'm a truck guy. But guess what? I had to sell the truck. I'm back to a van. I can't believe it. But I got grandkids, right? We got to haul around the grandkids. It's so cool. Best part of our life. So there's your red line. Can you tell right now that we're building a little ice arena here? Top left, put in P+, and we're calling that past positive thinking. Okay? What are the descriptor words of past positive? What comes to mind? We did it, totally. Right? Do you know what comes to mind right away for Jen and I? Family. At Christmas. Agreed? Like the positive things that happened in our past. It's so cool. You know, when you take me back and, I get a chance to hand you the Stanley Cup ring and we talk about the old days, that takes me back to some pretty positive times. So past positive is important. Let's finish the model. In the top left, put in F+, and we call that future positive thinking. Okay? Future positive thinking. Now, and with future positive, I'm an old hockey player that had concussions. So I like 2. I can remember 2. You ready for it? Future positive for me is 2 things. What I focus on, what I want, and how to get it, and that's it. Did you know the new stats out on smartphones? If we're average, we look at our smartphone 90 times a day. If we're not average, we look at our smartphones 900 times a day. Right? Are we focused on what we want, how to get it, that's it? You see that I think one of the greatest learning opportunities for this generation, by the way, I'm a Gen Y wannabe stuck in a boomer body. One of the greatest things that we can teach this generation is what this author calls deep work. Putting aside 4 hours and actually getting stuff done, right? And then do what he calls shallow work, which is Facebook and email and all that other stuff. Isn't that true? And this is how I made the NHL, right? It's called deep work. It's when you're focused, and we're going to identify the fifth mindset here in a minute. And we'll show you that's where you have your best work. There's your model, folks. Pretty simple stuff, right? Little hockey rink. So let's just go deeper on a couple of them. Anybody been to Cleveland recently? It's getting better. Oh, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's in Cleveland. Jen and I are big Springsteen fans. That tells you how old we are. He's got to be like 300 years old, isn't he? And so we go down there. There's a big exhibit on Springsteen. Jenny stays an hour and a half. She's a huge fan. I stay 20 minutes. I'm an okay fan. I run down to get coffee, and I'm going to do some email. I hand them I grab the coffee. I hand the money to the 35-year-old behind the counter. And I don't know. I was in a pretty good mood. I said, "Hey, this is a great place. The best of the best are here." I said, "You must love working here. Like, what's your favorite part of this exhibit?" And without pausing, he said, "The exit sign." Existing, the exit. Right? Could we agree with each other that past negative is not a bad place? It's a good place to learn. It's instructive. But if we live there, we're lost. Right? You can't look back on what you didn't like in life and live there forever. Gotta move. I gotta say it too. Can I say this about the world of sport? The world of hockey, NHL hockey taught me this brilliant life skill. We call it in hockey, we call it parking it. Right? You take what you have to do from what you need from the loss, and then done. And you get turned because you got a game tomorrow. Prepare for what you want. Don't ruminate on what you don't want. That is a great skill. Can I say this? I'm not always there. I'm pretty good at going back and living there, but I'm catching myself. See, here's what we're learning about leadership. Leadership is awareness. With awareness, we have a chance. Right, leaders? With deeper awareness, we can actually shift. We're going to talk about that today. Good thought by Mark Twain as we start to close up here, right? Isn't that a good thought? The inability to forget is infinitely more devastating than the inability to remember. You know, maybe it's the concussions, but I'm really good at forgetting. What's your name? No, I'm just kidding. So let's move. So think of this future positive stuff. Let me try to prove this to you. 2 tightrope walkers in the 70s. Philip Petit, some of you have to Google this, right? Philip Petit and Carl Wallenda. Now, did you know that Petit actually walked across the Twin Towers in New York when we had him? And Philip Petit was quoted before he walked in the newspaper, and here's what he said, right? "It's impossible, sure, so let's start working on it. If you want something, nothing's impossible." Would you agree in the 4 mindsets that we're looking at, right? Past negative, future negative, past positive, future positive. That's a future positive statement. Did you agree with that? All right. Now, did you remember this about Carl Wallenda? In the 70s, he fell to his death in Puerto Rico. He actually fell off the rope. And we found an article where Mrs. Wallenda, his wife, was quoted after Carl fell. Have a quick read. All Carl thought about for 3 months prior to it was falling. It was the first time he ever thought about it. It seemed to me that he put all of his energies into not falling, rather than walking the rope. You know, friends, this is where things go wrong in life. Would you agree with that? independent if we're an NHL team, right? We've got our little business, we've got our family. Think about what's happening right now across Canada. I wonder what's going to happen to the economy. How about our friends in Alberta? What's on the minds of people in Alberta today? $28 oil, right? What's going to happen? And yet, how much of that future can we control? Right? Can we worry about it? It's not a bad thing to go there and have instruction, but not worry. So as we're moving here, isn't that true about past positive? It's really about recognition. Do you know most people want in life? And this, I'm learning this. Jenny and I worked with 100 corporate clients last year. You know what most people want in corporate America? You know what most people want in your business? Once they get a certain level of money, you know what most people want? Thank you. That's it. Thank you for what you did. That's called past positive. Not true. Recognition. Finally, future positive. You knew I had to bring you on charity, right? This is a great video. Enjoy.
He's visualizing. Watch this now. Now look at this. I've never seen anything like this. And watch right at the very end, when this is a long one, he's looking right at the spot where he shot the puck. See that? He's fitted, you know, I hear guys out there doing their sticks and everything. Isn't that something? Whatever he's doing right. Now look at you looking at that spot again. You got that spot down perfect. You look at, see that? He's getting ready to just snap that puck like that. Bobby did this. Bobby would be in the dressing room. He would not go out. Bobby would be in the afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon, getting ready for a 7 o'clock game, just like he's getting ready, not quite as early, but Bobby would do the exact same thing. Now watch, it's that spot that he was looking. Watch that spot. Boom. And he had another great spot with it before. And see that spot? That's his spot visualizing.
That a great video. Thank you, Don Cherry. Now let me give you context. That's Mike Camilleri playing for the Montreal Canadiens, sitting on the bench 2:30 in the afternoon, preparing for a 7 o'clock game. What's Mike thinking about? Right? What he wants? How to get it? That's it. Now, could you throw one word out for me? Could you try to throw it out this month? The word is realistic. Think about this concept. Mike's not a big man. Do you know what he should be sitting on the Montreal Canadiens bench at 2:30 in the afternoon, getting ready for the game, thinking about? I'm too small to play in the NHL. We're playing the Flyers tonight. I'm going to get killed. What's Mike thinking about, folks? What he wants? How to get it? And that's it. This is the skill of the future, isn't it? This is the skill of the past. This is the skill of today. Maximizing. You know, when we think about this, this is a mindset model, but you know what's really hit us? This is an energy model. Here's the question, leaders. Where do you choose to spend your energy? Right? We're going to talk about the fifth mindset, and we'll be finished up. So, below the line, a little more scarcity. Would you agree? Above the line, a little more abundance or opportunity. Below the line, you know, I got this from a CEO. You can motivate people. Above the line, you get a chance to inspire. Below the line, we're focused on the problems that we have. Above the line, we're focused on solutions that could happen, right? Below the line, you suck energy out of team. Above the line, you supply energy to a team. Huge opportunity here, okay? So do this for me. Write in this name on your sheet, G-O-T-T-M-A-N. His name's John Gottman, G-O-T-T-M-A-N, and Google Gottman. And put a 5 above the line and a 1 below the line. I like it right in the middle if you can. 5 above, 1 below. Here's what John Gottman says. In relationships, in primary relationships, it takes 5 positive interactions to every 1 negative interaction just to hold the culture you have. 5 to 1. Now, let me give you a little bit of relief. It's not 5 things you say, right? It can be just, you know, catching an eye. It can be a handshake. It can be, right? 5 to 1. 6 to 1, 7 to 1, 8 to 1. We're on a team that we can't wait to get to. 4 to 1. By the way, Gottman says 3 to 1 in the primary relationship, we're in trouble. 0.77 to 1, we're divorced. Isn't that crazy? Now don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger here, okay? 0.77 to 1, the primary relationship explodes, independent if that's marriage or corporate or your company. So positivity is absolutely key to winning the Stanley Cup. It's not a positive thinking model. There's times when we have to go below the line. Would you agree? To tell the truth. And then we get people back into that above the line energy so we can get more. 2 key words: intentionality, rumination. Finally, put this in here. The 5th mindset is not past, it's not future, agreed? It's present. And put in these 2 words. We call it flow zone. Okay, the world of hockey calls it playing in the zone. The world of literature says it's flow. Love those 2. Flow zone. See if you can read about flow. Okay? This guy, I call him Dr. C. I can't pronounce his name. Maybe you can. Here's flow, right? Inner clarity, focus, timelessness. You know flow, you've done it a million times in your life. What? 6:30? Where'd that day go? Isn't that fun? Right? So that's flow. Intrinsic motivator. The boss doesn't have to tell you to do it. You just can't wait to do it. And serenity, right? That's flow. You're in this place where you're playing for the Stanley Cup and you're in the moment. One shift. And it's so fun. So folks, there's the model. Very simple stuff. 5 buckets of thinking. Here's a good thought. You know what we're really doing as we close up? Whether we agree or not, we're doing this. We're cutting neural pathways. You want to know the science behind it? We're cutting neural pathways. And the deeper we cut the pathway, the more we're going to get out of it. So there's the question as you head out, right? Do we want more negativity in our life? Do we want more past rumination and past negative, future negative? Or do we want to get what we call above the line? Okay? Do we want to drift below the line, or do we want to shift above the line? Those are the 2 words that we try to use. And then finally, how do we do it? So let's end with this. I'm in Vancouver. Jenny and I live in the Soyuz, British Columbia now. But we lived in Vancouver for a long time, 16 years. We grew our kids here. Our kids all left home. It's so cool. Oh, it's just Jen and I now. We're traveling the world, growing leaders. It's such a cool thing. We have 3 grandkids. Did I mention that? Oh, we're so proud of those kids. So cool. So we're in Vancouver, and I'm flying out to Calgary. So, you know, the plane just gets up, and I pull out my Bose earphones. Don't you love Bose earphones? You know, the ones that block out noise? You don't have to talk to anybody on the plane. It's so cool. Right? And I put them right on my seat, and then I pulled out a hard drive, right? That, you know, that hard drive, that portable hard drive that has everything on it? You know where this is going, right? And I put that right on my seat. I was just going to pull out my computer to get some work done, and this brilliant young executive and I start to talk. We talked the whole way to Calgary. I jump off the plane in Calgary. You know what I have to do? I've got to get down to luggage, get my luggage. Over in Calgary, you got to go across the street to get your rental car, and then get to the hotel. Because I got gigs tomorrow. I got 2 gigs. So I run the luggage, and I just hit luggage, and I go, "Oh, Ryan, you idiot!" I left my Bose earphones and my portable hard drive right in the seat. What am I thinking? Gone! I go to Air Canada and I fill out all those forms. I hate forms. You can talk to Jenny about me not liking forms. Fill them all out, right? And then I get in the car and I'm still beating myself up on the way to the hotel. Come on, Ryan, wake up! And it hits me. And I begin to laugh. And I say to myself, you know, Ryan, you're teaching this model thing. Like, maybe you should try practicing it. Right? And I go from a future negative, because now I know what it is. I'm not just an idiot. That's what I would have been. I actually go, I can name it now. That's a future negative thinking thought. And I choose to go to a future positive, focused on 4 things I can control tomorrow. Great sleep tonight, up at 5, 2 great gigs, work out at 4. That's all I can control. Next day, Air Canada calls me and says, Mr. Walter, we just delivered both items to your hotel. Friends, as we finish up our time together, how much much energy do we waste? Focused on things that don't happen. Thank you so much for our time together. Look forward to meeting you out at the table, and congratulations for being here. We love these FCC opportunities, and thank you for coming. Big hand for you. Good job.